welcome to the Disney Deconstructed podcast. I'm your host, Lain Calder. Today I'm joined, as always, by my good friends Jake Moody.
Yo.
And Spencer Bennett.
Throwback. Sivako!
Today we have a few announcements. First of all, right off the bat, we are doing visual podcasts now. It is a thing that we hope to continue doing for the foreseeable future. They are on YouTube on the Deconstructed Podcast Network page. So check those out. We'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the show. And we also switched podcast hosts. We switched to Anchor, and so you'll be hearing a little bit about them around the middle of the show, just so you know that that's coming. Other than that, today we're going to be talking about Onward. We're going to be finally giving our spoiler opinions, spoiler talk, spoiler review of
I watched
Onward.
it again, so I'm ready.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
Wow. That's some dedication. And the Robin Hood remake apparently is a thing.
And we've got an expert on that too on the line.
Yeah. Spencer's going to talk a little bit about that. Disney Parks, this week they released the official churro recipe for the Disney Parks. So they did that. It's online all over the place. It was big news. So I can't wait to make some churros. And we'll give our picks of the week. There hasn't been too much Disney news other than that. So we might just talk about some fun stuff like favorite ride vehicles or something like that. We'll do something.
We'll filibuster.
We'll do some. Yeah, we'll filibuster to give y'all some fun content. But yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it and talk some Onward spoiler talk. Let's start with Spencer. Spencer, what did you think of Onward?
Oh, I'm a big fan of Onward.
Yeah.
Just straight into the point. It is the way I phrased it in my review for the blog, The Cinema Spot, is I said it's a return to the styling of like old Pixar, where it's very, very deep. It kind of reminds me of Up, where it's kind of this like zany adventure, but at the heart of it, it's like about something.
Right.
Up is similarly kind of about loss, but also just like finding your purpose again. You know, just revisit. It's like kind of like a restart is what Up is about. And
Right.
Onward's about like the love between a sibling and just the family dynamic and what happens when you have a major loss in your family. So I love Onward. I think it's, I want to hear your thoughts because I would probably better bounce off what you have to say because
I really liked it. I think that what you said about Up is interesting because I do agree that the themes between Up and Onward are fairly similar. Up is about moving on and starting some normal or starting another chapter where one was previously not foreseen. And Onward can kind of be seen in a similar light. This is probably where spoilers are gonna start, so beware of those if you haven't seen it. But in the case where we have two brothers who are trying to deal with the death of their father years previous, before one of them was even born, and they learn through this huge journey that they go on that all that they need is each other. So yeah, I really liked that message, and the sort of message of, you know, sometimes what you need is the person standing right next to you. I thought that it was very, very. I thought it was just a very cool thing to be showing to kids nowadays, and I think that it's timely and it worked well. Jake, what are your thoughts?
Right, all the same things, echoing everything you two just said. Specifically what Spencer said, it's like, as far as I'm concerned, it was totally a return to form with Pixar. Not that there was anything particularly wrong with like the sequels and things like that. I mean, I was with you guys when I saw Toy Story 4. That movie is like completely incredible. But it absolutely is a we're back to like what made everybody love these movies, and specifically from a screenwriting perspective, because we all studied writing in school. It's just like this screenplay had to have been so tight, has such amazing like themes and like a controlling idea and like all these things that we've talked about in classes for years now. I mean, this story completely has it all. And what makes Pixar great in comparison to some of the other like family studios is that it can be like a cute, zany kids movie just by like, the character designs and like some of the little adventures that they find themselves on, like in the middle of the movie. But all in all, like what the movie's like properly about and how it ends and everything like that is like a film, like it really is trying to say something. And
Right.
it was like totally beautiful and a great movie. And it is a shame that it got completely buried by COVID, like every other movie that's coming out right now.
Oh
But
yeah.
I don't know if there's any silver lining to it. I mean, we'll see what was it Pixar like. I mean, obviously they know that the box office was hurt by it not even being in the box office for a long time. But it'll be interesting to see how Pixar is able to combat it. Like if they're gonna more or less ditch the whatever like path that they've been outwardly saying, which is we're not going to be doing very many sequels anymore. We're going to return to like the originals, or will it be because this was such a financial mess? At least I assume it was that like we need to make another Cars. Like I don't know what their thing is going to be. But,
I think anyone who looks at it can very clearly see that this was like a victim of circumstance.
Yeah.
Right.
Onward would have done well. Opening weekend when we went and saw it, Jake, that was a busy theater. Like it's Pixar.
Mm-hmm.
People were excited to see it. At Disneyland, they had the characters out. Like it was, it was a big launch. They were excited. So I think it definitely will be looked back on it. I also like going off what you said, like the script, like that's the biggest takeaway to me. Like it's directed like fine, like it gets directed well, but like at the end of the movie when Ian's looking at the list and you realize that the list he wrote like 20 minutes into the movie is the movie you just watched.
Mm-hmm.
That's me when it clicked and I was like, oh, this is a brilliant screenplay.
And when you realize the letter that the dad left for the kids was also
it's the
like
narration,
the begins
100%.
So
everything has a payoff, or everything like just has its counterpart. Like nothing just happens, and that's like the sign of a great script. Is just the tightness. Nothing happens for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like everything Barley does, like as silly as it is, it always pays off.
Yep.
I forgot rewatching it how hilarious the death of Guinevere scene is.
I know
when he the Valhalla music starts playing and then it blows a flat and it's galloping like a horse, and it's just great. So funny. Yeah, it's such a funny scene. That was probably
all of his tickets like fly out of the glove box.
It's fantastic. Barley, I think, is my favorite character in the movie. I definitely was more of an Ian growing up. Like with my older brother was like Lain, you can attest, Zach is a Barley for sure.
Absolutely.
And we were more Ian, but I think it paints that sibling relationship so well.
Yeah.
And at the end of the movie, like I cried the second time watching it too. That ending is it's like gut wrenching if you have that, if you experience that kind of relationship in your life, like my dad didn't pass away, but still like to realize how much of an impact your older brother has on, or older sibling in general has on your like development. It's powerful stuff. And I think Onward went there. And no shade at sequels like Monsters U or other movies like that, or like Incredibles 2, but they're not really about anything. They're just fun sequels.
Right.
Coco was about something. And I would put this movie on par with, if not, I liked it more than Coco. But I know Coco is very special to a lot of people because its cultural representation is done super well. But Onward to me just felt, like I said, like older Pixar. It felt like it was a fun animated. It wasn't a kids movie. It was for everyone. Whereas something, and I'm not saying Incredibles 2 is a kids movie, but it's kind of just like a fun movie. Which there's nothing wrong with that. But if Pixar is known for their depth, and I think Onward has that depth,
Something that really stuck out to me only later on, and something that I brought up on the show a million times in the past 3 weeks, and we've skirted around it, never properly talked about it because there's no reason to properly talk about it. But I just watched all of Lord of the Rings, all the Hobbits, which I've said like 5 times now. But what made me really into at least Fellowship of the Ring, the first Lord of the Rings, which like really like, you know, gripped me and like kept me like thinking about these movies for like 2 weeks nonstop, and I watched all of them and spent so much money renting them because they're not on any proper streaming yet. But the thing is, the for like the general audience and like the world, like me growing up and never watching Lord of the Rings, but obviously knowing what it is, I assumed that it was a very intricate, like detailed movie with like the most confusing plot of all time, and it's just like you know, like fantasy, like so big and ridiculous, which is what kept me away for the longest time because I was like, what am I going to do? Sit here and watch like extended editions of like just dragons flying around and I don't know what the hell's going on. But you sit down and watch it and it's very straightforward. They go on a quest. You follow a hobbit, which is just like generic good guy, and he needs to get to Volcano. And that's it. And they have adventures in the middle, you know, they see a troll, they see the dragon and things, but it's about like friendship and just going from point A to point B. And little did I know, I mean, lots of movies have that. I don't know if it's a trope or like a style of plot design or what it is, but
it's like the hero's journey.
Right. And Onward, I mean, it exactly does that. Not only is it like playing with that same genre that Lord of the Rings basically created, as far as I'm concerned, but it's a quest. I mean, they call it a quest. They need to get to Raven's Point. Like the whole movie was riffing off of that. Not in a bad way.
I think that's the joke. Yeah.
Right. That's the thing. But it's cool, especially like it happened at such a specific time. Just like how I've said on the show, I was writing a Western all year, and then Mandalorian came out, which is like a Disney Western. Yeah. So it was like, I don't know. I thought it was really fun. I need to go back and rewatch it. I only saw it the time in theaters, but
I rewatched the other day, and it's still great.
Really cute.
If not, I liked it more the second time.
Right. That's why I want to watch it because you know, now knowing how it ends and everything, you can properly look out for like those plants and things and dissect it as like a piece of art as opposed to just like consuming it like a fun movie like I did at least the first time.
Right. Yeah, because it is. And I think what's so fun about Pixar is that the movies have such clever worlds that you live in, such clever premises. Like Ratatouille, I bet you the pitch was a rat who can cook.
Right.
Because it's such like an oddball idea. Like, oh, a rat, like the animal that like everyone is like afraid of in the kitchen and it contaminates food, whatnot. What if one of those had an aspiration to be a chef? Like it's such a fun, clever concept. And Onward's like world, like the clever pitch is like a mythical world that has basically become modern day, but there's still like, it's like modern day, like mythical world suburbia where like unicorns are like raccoons getting in your trash and they're like elves and centaurs, but they're just like normal people.
Super
like
fun.
The beginning is so funny when they're like they're trying to figure out how to light the hut and then someone makes a light bulb and they just like abandon magic. It's such a funny idea.
The look into or watch any videos on how this plugs into the Pixar theory? I'm hoping
I'm interested.
I haven't looked into it yet.
Damn, it's fun. I wouldn't be able to tell you guys right now, but it was a really fun. What you guys know Super Carlin Bros? They have like a huge YouTube account.
Yeah,
videos. Yeah. They did one obviously as they do always. I can try to tell you really quickly. It was like it was set way towards the end, and it was basically trying to make an argument that this is a separate planet because of the 2 moons that we know it's not Earth. But what they were saying is that it was like obviously this fantastical world with magic and all these kinds of things, but then a Wall-E ship, like one of those spaceships, not Axiom, which is the one that we follow in the movie, but one of the space fleet, which they say is the thing in Wall-E. A by and large ship crashes on the Onward planet, and it fits, like if you take the Axiom, tilt it on its side, it fits exactly with the mountains of Raven's Point. Like it looks the same. So they're saying that it crashed and that's why Raven's Point is significant. And then all the fantastical creatures like intermingled with the Axiom people. So they obviously got technology from them. And that's why they look like humans kind of. So it was like far-fetched, but it was fun. I mean, I really like the Pixar theory. So
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll ever acknowledge it. But
No,
I think in the beginning they were like in Ratatouille you see Doug in like a room barking, and in Coco you see Buzz and Woody. So I think they're Easter eggs and they're fun, but I don't think that the depth people go into was ever talked about.
No, but they must
They're
do
aware
the
of it
Easter eggs
now.
on purpose,
Oh,
because the
yeah.
freaking axiom is exactly Raven's point. Like the mountains match the thing exactly.
Okay, well,
that
it
wasn't
could just
done
be
like
recycled animation.
That's
Like
true.
they do that.
That's
They
true.
use the same designs for things.
Yeah.
That's
I
one of the
a fun idea.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely a large part of it where they're just toying with people at this point.
That's what I'm
they
thinking.
obviously know that people are out there waiting for the next Pixar movie to see how it fits in.
100%.
But yeah, I think that there is like a much larger conversation to be had about all this, like with Pixar sequels and how, like, because for me, this clearly had its own message and you know, a very distinct new world that we were thrown into, and I really liked all that. And I don't know about you guys. It seemed like both of you were kind of there with me. But I feel like with the sequels, at least most of the Pixar sequels, a lot of times the themes and the messages get kind of lost in the big scheme of things. I know that, like, for me, actually, Cars 3 had like like pretty good like theme through line.
I like that movie.
I think it puts a nice bow on the franchise because it's
Yeah.
it's essentially Cars 1 again, but Lightning has evolved into the dock role.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, Cars 2, like, they don't even, it doesn't, you don't need to watch it. Like,
I know.
And I like Cars 2. I think it's a big goofy movie, but you can watch Cars
2.
Yeah. Like, watch Cars and watch Cars 3, and there's no thread in the middle that needs to be established. Cars 2 is basically like a short before a movie. Where it's just like a fun side quest or side adventure that happens. But yeah, I totally agree. I also think Finding Dory has a message to it. It's similar to Finding Nemo, and I definitely think the ending is just way too silly. Where like the octopus is driving the truck and all that. But I think that they did.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it completely goes off the rails. It becomes what like sequels of animated movies are, which are like big, colorful, and it's fun, like it's enjoyable, but Pixar was never that to me.
Right, exactly.
Pixar
but
was
I think
much more grounded to me. Which
definitely
is weird to say about animated movies, but in comparison to other things, they are more grounded to me.
100%. Well, look at like Finding Nemo. Like that movie is scary. The beginning with like the big like fish trying to eat the eggs. Like it's a movie about like death and like fatherhood and like it's a dark movie for all intents and purposes.
I was thinking about Finding Nemo the other day.
It is a dark movie.
Ambitious, beautiful. It's like unbelievable that that's a real movie. B, it was made back then. I mean, it looks so cool. If the exact same movie was put out now, I'd be like, wow, the animation was incredible. And it's like from 15 years ago. The story is unbelievable. I mean, it was exactly the things you were saying with, Ratatouille. It's like a rat that can cook. It's like the exact opposite. I love Cars. Cars is just a race car that needs to learn how to slow down. That's so funny.
It's a great pitch.
And then Finding Nemo is in a world of like millions and billions of fish, you need to find one.
Yeah.
So good. So good.
And a father has to swim across the entire ocean to find his little baby clownfish.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
great.
it.
And Finding Dory in the beginning, like the scenes where Dory like remembers her parents, like it's a good premise. Dory suddenly remembers that she has a family. And it's great. But then it just kind of gets bogged down in like silly set pieces. But yeah, I'm not ragging on Finding Dory. I think it's a good movie, but I think it like we were just talking about messages getting muddied. It tries, and then it kind of loses its focus a little bit. Yeah. The ending is emotional when she finally gets reunited. But yeah, I think Onward keeps its focus. It keeps its eyes on the prize.
I agree.
Yeah.
That was just a question I wanted to pose, so I'm glad you guys took that and ran with it.
Yeah, we agree with it, man. It's a good observation / question.
Yeah.
There's one thing about Onward, because this is spoiler talk and it's so specific, but I did want to talk about it. I hope I don't sound too much like I really hope I don't sound too much like a cisgender straight white guy. But here we go.
Oh, jeez.
There's something that I really liked. Yeah, you like that? There's something I really liked about Onward in terms of like social implications, and something that I thought was so dumb. Thing I really liked was the like stepdad character, which was like like the horse butt.
Oh, he's
I thought
so
that was
funny.
Really, it was funny, but B, I mean, we live in a world where like the normal stereotypical family, just like a mother, father, and 2 kids, isn't like the norm necessarily. So seeing that in an animated movie in a really cute way, where it's like, yeah, the kids are like, oh, it's the stupid stepdad, but by the end, he's like a totally nice guy, and that does make the family complete, but it's not the like normal way. Is really cute and like something that's great for little kids to see if that's what their family's like. I thought that was awesome. What I didn't think was awesome was along the same lines was there was a lot of talk and a lot of PR and articles written and things, which is like the first openly LGBT character in this movie. Everybody's all excited about it, and that scene was so short and so dumb and didn't have any implication with anything. They clearly just put a scene in where they got pulled over and the cop was a lesbian, and they just gave her a line and said, "Oh, when I get home to my girlfriend," and that was it. It was just like
they
wasn't a real character. She wasn't a real character.
But
she made them talk about like single parenting.
Yeah, I thought that it fell in with the single parenting thing, and also the scene had a reason because they needed to have a reason to bring him back into the action, the stepdad, and thereby
it was the cop.
Thereby by him getting back into the action, he was bringing the mom back into the action, because wasn't he the one that told the mom where they were going or something?
Yes.
No, she found out from the Manticore, but he was confused because he was on the phone with her, and she like hung up and was like, "No, I have to go save the boys." And he's like, "What's going on?" And then he gets paged from the other officers, like, "Hey, I think your stepsons were out here."
So if it wasn't for them, then he would have just completely gotten stranded aside from the action.
Yes.
So that scene was good in that respect. I liked how they did that. I will say that I didn't see the articles about like the like first openly LGBTQ character in a Pixar movie. I will say that I thought that there was a gay couple in Finding Dory. Wasn't that like a big thing where people were like complaining about it or something?
Oh, there was like one shot of like it was either a woman and a woman like standing next to each other. It was very like implied.
Like in the aquarium, like human.
Yeah, or it was like a man and a man. I don't remember, but
right.
it was very very brief.
I remember people were like,
so that's okay. So
but what I was gonna say was I would understand why you were disappointed by that if there were like articles saying that it was going to be a character, because like she was much more of a side character, obviously.
Like she was in that one scene.
Right. She was just a supporting role to kind of to move the action forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I would understand being disappointed by that. But then again, I guess I didn't see a problem with it because I didn't see those articles that you mentioned, so I didn't expect more from the role.
It was the same feeling I had with the Beauty and the Beast when they were like, LeFou is going to be openly gay, and everybody was like, that's cool. He probably was in the animated one, so that's cute.
Yeah,
and then at the end, it was just he danced with the guy, which is like you're put in a sticky spot if you want to be doing representation, because if you make the character, if like the thing about the character that's interesting is their sexual preference, then that's not writing the character well.
Here's what I'll say.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll say that I liked how they did it in Onward because they went for it, and that she says openly that that's what her relationship is in dialogue, and I'm on board with that, and I support that. What I don't support is things like what was the fucking Dumbledore. Remember that, where J.K. Rowling was like, he's gonna be gay.
It was like after the fact,
and then it was totally like, it was very like it was very toned down, him being gay, and God, what was that? Oh, Crimes of Grindelwald. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was like
Mm-hmm.
his like that was so like toned down. Like it was very. It was borderline. It's hard to even call it like reading between the lines because
Right.
it was that toned down. Like it was clearly they were afraid that people in the audience were going to be like, "Oh, he's gay. Oh no,
Mm-hmm.
we can't support this movie. They're just really good friends." And so I don't support
That's fine.
that. It's like if you're gonna do this as a social stance and support this, this movement, then
Right.
do it.
Agreed. And they did. It was just straight up in the dialogue. But I guess because I saw articles about it, whatever was different between our feeds, which it doesn't make a difference either way. Like it's fine. It was a totally cute moment. But if we're going to tout it as being an important moment, I would have rathered it be a real part of the story.
Right. Oh,
Instead of just having some,
yeah.
like literally, well, I got to tell my girlfriend about this. That was it.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I
Yeah.
thought this was going to be a big moment. But
She did not have an important moment.
Yeah. But I will say, I had that moment when we were sitting there watching it on the first time around, but hearing you guys talk about it, I do, because that does rope the stepdad back into it, and it totally does keep the plot moving. So that's a thing, like on a rewatch, I would have noticed, and that scene is more important than just when I was watching it first time around.
I
So
also think on another level, I mentioned single parenting earlier. I think because the conversation with the woman police officer and then the boys pretending to be the centaur, he says like, oh, why are you acting all weird? He's like, oh, just it's hard being a stepdad. And she's like, yeah, no, I understand. Like it's hard coming into. I think it's a good mess. It's a very quick brief, but I also think it affects the way that they think about the stepdad. Because she says like, oh yeah, it's hard to like come into like a set up family and try and like gain their trust and get that understanding. And I think that it isn't really directly paid off, but I think the implication especially from the script itself and the screenwriter is probably like that was like something that made Barley and Ian think about their stepdad.
That's true.
It's also,
That's really true.
I can't remember if it's her or the partner, but I want to say it was her that poses the question about Barley being a screw up.
Another great moment from that scene.
I don't know if it was her though. It might have been the partner. But yeah, that was a great scene because of that.
That gives us the conflict between Barley and Ian about it.
Were people? I don't want to get too far into this, but were people like up in arms about the gay representation in this, like how they were with
I don't
Star
think
Wars?
So. Maybe it would have been if Corona wasn't a thing, but I mean, I haven't seen much people talking about Onward, let alone that one scene.
You remember?
Like it
you
really
remember Rise of Skywalker when there was one lesbian kiss at the end, and
oh yeah. See, again, it's just like because I was seeing so many, like people talked about it like it was going to be a big deal that there's going to be a first LGBTQ representation. It's just like such a small little silly moment because we don't really want to take the leap, but
the controversy with the Rise of Skywalker moment is that they edited it out in certain countries.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't want to name countries because I don't remember for sure which, and I don't want to say something that comes off poorly. But that was the problem with that, and I agree that is an issue because if I don't have any opinion one way or the other. Like I'm totally down with representation, but I also understand if you don't think it goes far enough or you think it whatever. Like you have your own values. I don't care. Think what you want to think. But if you're gonna make that choice in your movie, don't cut it out for certain markets. Like own that, because then to me it feels more like a publicity stunt than you actually wanted to.
Yeah, it's much more like we're doing this for the money and
it's more like for a press thing.
Yeah,
and I'm
exactly.
Like it very well may be that's the case for all of these choices. I don't agree with that. I think it should be based on morality and just the sake of like these people exist and their voices deserve to be heard and they deserve to be represented like everybody else. But if you're going to edit it out of certain markets, then that shows your hand. That shows what the actual motivation of it. And then I'm like, well, that's messed up. That's messed up. That wasn't the case with Onward.
It shows that they'd rather have the money from that country than stand up for that representation.
Totally. Which to me is inherently not cool.
Yes, that's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
All right. We should move on. We're going to take a real quick break, but we will be right back with some Robin Hood remake news. Thanks, everyone.
Hey guys, so if you want to make a podcast just like us and you have all the necessary equipment, co-hosts, topics, everything else, but you need a way to distribute the podcast, I'm here to tell you about our new service, Anchor. First things first, it's free. It's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer.
On my
Anchor
phone,
will distribute.
Jake?
Yeah, apparently from your phone, which is crazy. Anchor will
Kids these
distribute
days.
your podcast for you, so it can be heard through Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other services. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership.
You can wait. You're telling me, Jake, that I can make money from my podcast?
Yeah, which is crazy. It'd take a long time.
Oh my god!
But you could do it. So basically, it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Feel free to download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Now, Jake, is that Anchor like the big thing that you throw off the bow of a boat?
ANCHOR, right off the front of your boat.
Like Popeye's bicep.
Now back to the show.
And we're back. Thank you for lasting through that break. Spencer, you've got some Robin Hood news for us.
Indeed, I do. So, yesterday, Hollywood Reporter broke a story that coming to Disney Plus, there's no release date yet, but officially announced, in development, entering production, I mean, as soon as all this craziness is hopefully blown over,
Right.
is a live-action CGI remake of the 1973 contested classic, Robin Hood.
Fine.
Wow.
I love the original Robin Hood. It was one of the movies I had on those big white VHS boxes
Me
growing
too.
up.
Mm-hmm.
But
Or the
I write articles. We've talked about it, glanced over before, for different film journalism publications. I've written for the Cinema Spot with our friend Preston Moore for a long time, and I just got a new position at the website That Hashtag Show.
Nice.
And I wrote this is my first article for them, was about this remake. And I was reading the Hollywood Reporter and reading different coverage and getting all the details for our own post about it. And yeah, this is happening. It's a remake of Robin Hood. And in my research on the old Robin Hood, I found out that it was critically not super loved. And the more I read into it, the more I learned that it was because it recycled a lot of animation, animation like cells and stuff. So it felt like it was made on the cheap, kind of. I never got that impression watching it.
Right.
But I guess it was also during kind of like the weird times of Disney. Like the 70s was like the Black Cauldron and other movies like that where things just got a little funky.
Yeah. Well, it was post Walt's death.
Yeah. I think it was the first movie made post Walt's death.
Leadership role.
Yeah.
And before the Renaissance.
I think it was either
exactly
the first movie released post Walt's death or the first movie greenlit after Walt's death. One or the other, I don't remember which, but yeah, they're making a remake of Robin Hood with the fox. They're doing they're doing the same thing. They're all going to be animals. Before you freak out, they Screen Rant did further coverage on it, and they said that it's not going to be like Lion King and Jungle Book, where it's like this photorealistic CGI. They're going to try and make it more. It's going to be more in the vein of Lady and the Tramp, where they're animals, but they're able to emote. They have like these CGI face kind of things,
like Jungle Book a little.
Sorta, yeah. But even Jungle Book wasn't
supposed to be
didn't go
more.
It didn't go as bad as Lion King, where it's like this is just weird to watch. Like nothing is animating at all. Yeah. Also, speaking of Lady and the Tramp, it's written by the same people. So it's pretty much the same team behind Lady and the Tramp with a new director. We're making a Robin Hood remake.
It's straight to Disney Plus.
Yes, that's the other thing. It's the second one besides Lady and the Tramp that's been greenlit straight to Disney Plus.
That's the most interesting piece.
Yeah, they're working on a Peter Pan one as well, called Peter and Wendy. That's we don't know yet. They haven't decided which. They haven't announced which one. I have a feeling it's probably going to be theatrical because Peter Pan is a really big brand.
Right.
It's also, like I've always said, I think that's one that they should remake because the original is with the modern day wokeness, it's hard to watch.
Peter Pan, yeah, I'm sure. I also think that they announced Peter and Wendy. I wrote an article about Peter and Wendy for Cinema Spot a couple months ago.
Nice.
But Peter and Wendy was going to be more of an adaptation of the novel and less of the old
That's
movie,
cool.
which to me sounded awesome. I'm here for that. If this Robin Hood goes more like older, like novel, like Ivanhoe Robin Hood, like tries to go not like dark and gritty, but a little more serious, because the original Robin Hood is like a musical comedy adventure thing.
Yeah,
And they did say
very
this
lighthearted from what I remember.
yes, and they said this will be a musical too. So
Okay.
it's going to be
That's cool.
more like, it's not going to be Mulan, which I think would be interesting to see it portrayed in a Mulan style. We haven't seen Mulan yet, but everything we've heard is that it's a much more
Dark.
mature. Yeah, it's more real to the original like tale of Mulan.
Yeah,
that's all I know about Robin Hood. If you want to read my article about it and just kind of get the details that I'm sure I'm leaving out, that hashtagshow.com under review, under news, movie news, it's Robin Hood to be a live action remake. But yeah,
nice.
what are your guys' thoughts on this?
I mean, I haven't seen the original Robin Hood. It's in my Disney Plus watch list.
Worth a watch. There's a fun
yeah.
rooster who plays the banjo.
Yeah,
Maybe it's the
heard,
guitar.
yeah.
I've heard of
it's
the
some
rooster.
string instrument.
But and I've always really wanted to see it. I will say I'm kind of down for this. I know that, like you were saying, the original Robin Hood is more of like a cult classic. Some people don't like it, some people like it type thing. As far as the CG goes, yeah, I'd much more like them to lean towards, I guess, what they did for Lady and the Tramp or Jungle Book. I didn't watch Lady and the Tramp because the trailer I didn't really like.
I've heard mixed things, but it was like something that people were interested in. It dropped with
they
launch.
launched with it, yeah, you know.
Yeah, so it wasn't. It was successful from everything I could tell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's interesting that it's going straight to Disney Plus. Bob Iger was saying that there would be more movies going straight to Disney Plus after what was the one
Artemis Fowl.
Artemis Fowl. So maybe that's what he was referring to, or maybe he was referring to more delays because of the COVID-19 crisis. We have yet to see. It would definitely be interesting to see if Jungle Book gets a straight to Disney Plus release. But
you mean Jungle Cruise?
Jungle Cruise, yeah. Jungle Book. Too many jungle movies, man.
That movie came out already.
Yeah, I know. Too many jungle movies. But yeah, I mean, all that will be interesting to see how that ends up playing out. But yeah, I guess those are my thoughts. I'm down for it, especially because I haven't seen the original one. But yeah, what was the other one that you were saying they were remaking? Peter and Wendy. I'm very down for that for the reasons I said. I'm glad that they're not remaking the movie, because the movie you would pretty much have to cut out like half of it, because it's just racist. And super sexist, to be fair. So they'd have to like cut half that movie out if they're going to remake that, and then
they'd update it, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for me, I'm
not to say. I will say I have read the play of Peter Pan, which is by the same J.M. Burry, however you say his name, who wrote the book as well. The play is also super racist and sexist. So
that's an old book.
Yeah,
it's like an 1800s book.
It's old. So
yeah,
just because they're doing the book adaptation is what I'm trying to say. Just because they're adapting the book doesn't really mean that they're like taking from very different material, thinking socially, I guess.
Right. I see that. I mean, this goes separate for what I was about to say, but I am really excited for that. For whatever reason, I guess, Spencer, you and I have in common. I very distinctly remember the VHS, and that must have been like one of the ones I grew up watching, which it's funny because that is known as like the one that recycled a lot of things and was like made on the cheap. But that's like one of the, like that and Fox and the Hound for whatever reason are like ingrained in my memory. Which
I-
those aren't
I
like
also watched
They're
necessarily.
both like the ones that people are like
I know.
about, which
But
is
those-
interesting.
I don't know why, but I even remember like what the boxes looked like. So,
Yeah. No, me too. I vividly remember the Robin Hood VHS right now.
you know, so that's funny. I'm here for it. I mean, I haven't watched it since I was a kid. I do want to watch it on Disney Plus. So it is cool. And I'm here for it. Would be cool if it was like a cartoonish remake, like, you know, Lady and the Tramp, although the dogs emoted and they talked, like, you know, they still looked like dogs.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if like it was like they looked like a cartoony fox, but it was in the real world. Be interesting. But
So
you know,
what I hope the character design is similar to is, neither of you probably saw this because you're not idiots, but I saw Dora and the Lost
I
City.
love Dora.
Yeah,
Bro,
no.
that movie was so good.
Super fun. The ending
Yeah,
makes no sense,
was.
but it's really fun. But I want
It's a
Robin
really
Hood to
fun
look
movie.
like Swiper, where it's
I'd be
CGI
super with
and he
that.
looks like a fox, but it's still kind
Yeah.
of goofy looking.
Mhm.
That's like the style I want for Robin Hood.
I'd be super. Yeah, that's what I would hope for, because
Yeah.
it's a really like, I mean, it's an action adventure, like lighthearted one, where the other ones, I don't know, they kind of have more of like a prowess. You know, like if you're to remake like, you know, Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella, like those are very like, I don't know, hoity-toity.
They did remake Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella.
I know, that's what I'm saying, and they're not.
They remade
not to
Sleeping
say,
Beauty
like,
twice.
Not to say that they should take remaking Robin Hood any less seriously, but it's definitely gonna have a different tone, which is like what
Definitely.
makes me excited.
I
But then on the other thing, well, sorry, just really quick.
yeah.
Like
Sorry.
with the Peter Pan and what is her name?
Wendy.
Oh, I was gonna call her Alice. Anyways, with Peter Pan and
That's a
Wendy
different
remake,
movie.
I know. I guess I'm more interested if like if you're gonna remake something, but like putting it with a twist or like a side story or a different story. Like, of course, I didn't see Maleficent 2, but Maleficent 1 is really fun and cool, just in theory. Like, it's a cool idea. I'd much rather watch a spin-off of something than, you know, like the Alice in Wonderland movies. Like, it's not a direct remake of the movie. It has
Right.
its own world. Much rather watch that than watch A Lion King, which is the same movie, just looks different. Not even better.
Totally
just
agree
different.
with you.
So
Totally
I'm here
agree.
for all that kind of stuff.
I'm
I
gonna
think
call
they're-
it now and say that the Robin Hood is gonna be the next Sonic.
Oh wow! I mean, it would look. I
I
would like
had
for it to
that
look that
thought
way.
through my head.
Mm.
I'm not gonna lie. When I first read the news, I was like, "Oh no!"
It's gonna release they're gonna release what he looks like, and people are gonna be like, "No!"
Oh no!
Yeah. Especially because they said like they're gonna go less photorealistic. I was like, Sonic.
Oh no!
yeah, for real.
Sonic has just tainted the minds of all of us when it comes to like live action CGI like animation.
Mhm.
Honestly, though, I don't never like talked about it much. Did I write up a review for Sonic? I think no. Did I? I might have reviewed Sonic. I don't know.
remember.
Sonic is great.
I
Like,
saw the
Sonic
reviews
is a
were really good.
really fun movie.
Mm.
That if the animation stayed the same, I think I would have liked more, but for all the wrong reasons, because it would have just been like
Because
a
it would've been creepy.
hilarious, creepy movie. But
It
him
would've been
looking like Sonic,
Fantastic.
yeah, right. But him looking like Sonic, like, it's a fun movie. It's also got a great post-credit scene. When the movie ended, I was
Does
like, I
it?
want to see a sequel. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you because I
Wait,
think
you
you should
can
watch
go ahead.
it. Do you want to hear it?
I want to hear it. I mean, you can just
Okay.
say spoilers.
The Hedgehog.
I wanna-
Spoilers for if you haven't seen Sonic. At the ending,
Hey.
Tails like comes through the universe.
No.
He like beams in from like
Okay.
a spaceship or something. And he's like, according to my calculations, he should be here. And it shows like the town in Montana where Sonic lives, and everyone's like, ah!
Damn.
And then Tails
Wow.
starts spinning and he flies off. And it's awesome. And he looks
That's
just
crazy.
like Tails.
Wow.
What about Knuckles, dude? Where's Knuckles
I
at?
wanted the
Mhm.
post-credit scene to be Shadow. I wanted Shadow the
Oh,
Hedgehog to show up with
yeah.
like a machine gun. Do you remember the Shadow the? Do you remember the Shadow the Hedgehog game
Yeah.
where he had like
Yeah.
guns and weapons?
Yeah.
With the song playing in the background?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
just like heavy
I
death
am,
metal.
I am.
He walks in and he's just got like a gun. He's like, "Where's Sonic?" That would have been the
Wow.
most
Like
epic post-credit
Terminator.
scene. Yeah, literally. Have Arnold voice him. I don't care. It would
Wow.
have just been the greatest thing ever.
I
But,
am,
yeah.
oh, I am. I remember that from the intro of Shadow the Hedgehog. It's just
It was a great game.
It's a rock song that's totally mid 2000s.
I think it was
and
my
it's-
first E10 plus game that my parents let
Wow.
me play.
It was like, this is E10 plus.
And it
It's
said like
whoa.
violence on the back. And I was like, violence?
because there's guns in it.
for no reason. Why does he have like photorealistic weaponry? It's not like goofy guns. Like he has like
that's so
AKs
funny.
and like machine guns. It's such a bizarre video game.
Where's Shadow the I skipped Sonic the Hedgehog in theaters, but I would be there opening night for Shadow the Hedgehog.
Like an R-rated Deadpool edition
Wow,
Shadow the
that'd be
Hedgehog.
crazy.
It needs to be made. We'll make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I don't know how we got there. Oh yes, Robin Hood character design. So I hope it's not like that.
It'd be cool. Well, we remember when those like pictures leaked, which I think, by the way, were proven false, but like the what Stitch was going to look like in the live action remake, and everyone freaked out.
Oh yeah,
because it was really.
I think that was not true.
Yeah,
I
don't think it proved to be true.
It had to have not been true because there was no way that they would have that would have been approved by a board because it was so monstrous.
I remember looking
again.
at it
That's another
like,
one. I think is going straight to Disney Plus.
Wait,
the
really?
Lilo and Stitch remake.
I think that's true as well.
Wow.
Yeah. And I remember, that's something we should talk about, Lain, when you were like, Iger said that there's more things to come to Disney Plus. I thought that was a little weird. Not weird. I mean, obviously things are going to Disney Plus. That's like a huge project.
Yeah.
And also sidebar, but I was scrolling around on it the other day, and Disney Plus, like, really cool, dude. I really like it.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, the thing is, right when it launched, obviously myself, us, everybody was like, wow, this is so fun. Look how many old movies are on here, whatever. And then I was on it every week for Mandalorian and the Imagineering thing. But then those shows stopped, and like I would scroll through Disney Plus sometimes, but like I wasn't watching anything. But I don't know what I mean. I watch like the National Geographic things all the time. But I don't know. I was just scrolling through it and I was like, wow, there's so many good movies on here. And if I had a kid, like that's like, other than The Simpsons, you can just like hand the remote to your 3-year-old and be like, have fun. There's your day. You know, like there's nothing you need to be worried about. It's
I
all
think Pirates
friendly.
would scare him.
I guess. Yeah, Pirates would scare him.
Yeah,
but,
I forget, but Disney, I forget just how much the increase has been, but Disney Plus has had like a massive increase in users over the last couple months.
Well, I think if they start making content exclusive to it, like these original movies, it's just going to go up. The problem with Disney Plus is they launched with so much like content. This is coming out now, and now it's all done. Like all the seasons are over, and it's just been kind of stagnant. They should have staggered the releases better, which is what they did with the Marvel shows. But now all the production is halted because of obvious reasons.
Right.
So it's
And I was seeing that even I think one of the shows, Loki, was like halfway done through production, and that obviously is halted.
Scarlet Widow or Scarlet.
One of them was like done
Vision.
and in post. I think WandaVision was the
That's what it's called,
dude.
Yeah, I think that was done, if not close to done.
Right. But the thing is, that one was supposedly going to tie in like really closely with the movies, but now the movies are pushed, which means the freaking show is probably going to be pushed. So in theory, if you have a finished Marvel show, it's going to be a huge deal. Sitting on someone's hard drive while the world is on quarantine, it'd be a great time to release the show. It'd be the only thing that like people are talking about, similar to Mandalorian. But they can't because it ties into the movies, and all the movies got pushed. So it's major.
Who cares if it's slightly off in timeline? The last movie like had a 5-year jump in it.
That's true. That's true. But yeah,
I feel like
what you mentioned earlier when Iger gave some interview or talk or whatever where he said, you know, we're going to see lots of things going to Disney Plus. I was like, I don't have any problem with that. Obviously, I think it's fun and cool. Like I was saying, I really like Disney Plus, but he said that like literally 24 hours after they released their new slate of movies. So I was like, what's going on Disney Plus? Because you just gave all the dates for the movies that are coming out, and only one is going to Disney Plus. So I was like, what is he talking about
here? The
here?
way that I took that was that he was insinuating that because of the COVID-19 crisis and some of these theatrical releases getting pushed back, some of the films that were going to be released beyond that slate,
right,
will be put onto Disney Plus
instead of being theatrical.
That were initially supposed to be released in theaters, and I feel like that may have been what he was intending by that statement. At least that's how I took it. So, you know, some of the movies we've been talking about I don't know. I can't think of any examples at the moment that's like sort of close, but not quite. That wouldn't go into theaters. The only
Right,
ones
I
I'm
see what
kind
you're
of thinking
saying.
of is like 2022. Something coming out in like 2022 or 2023 that isn't Avatar or Star Wars, um, part of that slate. So
Yeah.
those things I feel like might make their way to Disney Plus.
I think also with
Mm.
that statement he made, he was definitely aware that they had these things in the pipeline. They had the Lilo and Stitches and the Robin Hoods, and
Right.
I'm sure we're going to hear more about things coming. There's another movie coming out, supposed to be coming out this Christmas, called Godmothered, which is about like a fairy godmother in training,
Huh.
Oh,
which is
really?
like a cute idea. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So they I think they have a lot of they had a lot of projects in development.
Yeah.
Lord knows what's going to end up being produced now.
Wait, so was that Godmother thing? Was that always a straight to
It
Disney
was a
Plus?
Disney Plus
I
movie.
see.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah,
I
that's
haven't
like
seen Lady and
filling
the
the
Tramp. I might watch that tonight. I don't have anything to do.
right.
I
As we
won't,
all.
but you can tell me how it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about our picks of the week, everybody.
Right. There we go.
Jake, I want to hear
Um,
what your pick of the week is.
Okay, that's fine. Mine will probably go quick because of what I'm about to say. I'm gonna echo Spencer's clip or picks of the week from a while ago because I went back and watched Pirates of the Caribbean. I only watched 2 and 3 because I had seen 1 like so many times in my life, and I remembered that like Davy Jones is in the second one, but like beyond that, I really didn't remember much. And wow, dude, these movies are like so good. I
Yeah.
could.
I was shocked.
Yeah, me too. Well, the second one is properly good. Like that's a good movie. The plot is maybe unnecessarily confusing, but I think it wraps up really nicely, and it's like you can compare it, not in quality wise, because I'm going to say this and you guys are going to freak out, to Empire Strikes Back.
I knew exactly what you were going to say.
But in terms of like the things they do with the story and like the progression of the main characters, very similar, probably done by design, which is fun.
Right.
I will say the third one is the beginning of the end as far as I'm concerned with that, because there are still like plenty moments that remind you like what made these movies so special and awesome, and like the acting is like unbelievable and the set pieces, like dude, the climax of that movie, we've already seen so many ridiculous things in the first 2 movies in this franchise. So the freaking screenwriters must have been like, so how do we ratchet up the stakes? We've already seen so many ridiculous things. They're like, well, what if they were fighting in the middle of a hurricane, like in the eye
And a
of the
giant
hurricane?
woman.
I know, it's so ridiculous. But
it's the great you're wrong. Outworld's End is glorious.
Oh, wow.
It is glorious.
I love it.
Yeah, it's my favorite one.
I guess I'm specifically talking about just the all the jacks. Like always like talking to himself.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I love that.
It's just weird. It like pulls me out of already such a fantastical world, but I'm like really in it.
It is
But
such a Gore Verbinski movie. The guy who directed it. It is so weird, but it's so good. The ending, dude, when Will becomes captain of the Dutchman, I shed a tear because he has to leave Elizabeth. So good.
I shed a tear.
Dude, a single tear.
My thing with that is there's 2 very specific ways you can read the ending. Spoiler for a movie that came out in 2007. Is Jack goes off on his own in a tiny boat going to try to find the fountain of youth, quote unquote. And then
which is where Stranger Tide starts.
Right. And then the thing you said was with Elizabeth and Orlando Bloom, he's now he's the captain of the Flying Dutchman, and their relationship is cemented and they're married, but they can only see each other every 10 years. So it's a cute ending for all the characters. Like it does wrap up their arcs, but at the same time, it leaves the door like swung wide open for sequels, where I would have preferred it just to be like a proper, really good contained trilogy. You can read it like it is, because like it starts the way it ends, but also he's off on the next thing, and it's like, but I just would have liked to see a proper ending. Is how
I think it is an ending to the trilogy. I think it's an ending to the Will Turner, Elizabeth Swann story.
Better for them than for Jack.
Well, those first 3 movies are not about Jack. Jack is kind of like the catalyst who just does crazy stuff that makes the plot go. But it's the story of, it's a romance of Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann.
Yeah,
it's a romantic.
And then
series.
Again, to bring up Lord of the Rings again, that this was easily Disney's version of not combating, but it was like, it's so clearly Disney wanted to cash in on that type of just like grand
It's their
adventure.
big fantasy franchise.
Right, which is really fun and awesome. And it does take a lot of the same beats. It's just kind of like ragtag group people they need to get from point A to point B. There it is. And then the part I specifically wanted to say, it was the tweet I sent you, Spencer. Like, I don't know, at some point, like in Act 1, they're going to find Jack at World's
When they
End,
go, then they get to Davy Jones's locker. They basically get to the afterlife.
Right. And the screen just cuts to black. They go down a waterfall and they start playing the audio from the ride. And oh my God, it's so cool. It's really
glorious,
genuinely trippy. Like, because you get so wrapped up in that world, you can forget based on this ride. And then they start playing the thing and it's like, wait a minute, what is the ride somehow like the thing? And like, I had to pause it. Like, I was like really into that. So that's my whole thing. I really like them, and whatever.
It's so good because the ride, you start when they're dead, and you basically go down the waterfall. You fall down the water. That's what the script was implying.
Yes.
That was a direct reference. As you fall out the waterfall, now the pirates are alive and everything's going on. And you get to like Davy Jones's locker, where like the dead speak basically, and you cut to Jack, who's just confused as all hell. There's like 10 Jacks. He's trying to pull his boat through the sand. It's such a great transition.
Really
and it's
cool.
exactly what you think it is. It's them saying, all right, now we're on the ride.
Yeah, exactly.
So at World's End, I disagree strongly. I think it's a perfect cap to the trilogy. I think those first 3 movies, I refer to them as like the trilogy. And then Stranger Tides is like a fun side adventure with Jack. And I actually like Stranger Tides. I think the Barbossa,
the next one to watch.
The Barbossa dynamic with Blackbeard is really cool. Where he like poisons the blade, and it's so good.
That's just my like bringing up Lord of the Rings is because like that was such a huge swing for, I guess, Warner Brothers or New Line Cinema made them, and obviously it hit. So was it WB or was it?
They own New Line.
I see. So it was WB, but kicked my trash can. But the thing with it is like it's so contained and good, and I know they're based on books, obviously, and there was a strong ending. But with this, it would have just been so cool to just end right there and like this is what it is. But I just can imagine a world where the executives were sitting around and these movies are making so much money, and they're like, well, okay, people really like Jack, so we can probably just like start really pushing that. And it's like, but that's not what made the movies good. What made the movies good is everything else. And Jack was just like the quintessential, like everything put together. But then in the third one, like you can really tell they were doing so much with him with the multiple Jacks and the CGI. And clearly, I mean, the fourth one is Jack's movie. Like everything else is already done. They just wanted to continue the story.
I'm about to make a crazy metaphor.
Okay, go ahead.
No, finish what you're saying.
Okay, so fine. The first 2 really, I feel like had a filmmaking like point, like Lord of the Rings, and it just like really, the people making it wanted to make this specific thing. But then I feel like with the third, while there are still moments like that are really fun, and it does close some of the storylines well. I can just imagine a world where they're like, we got to keep these going because it was such a big investment and they pay off so well. And then I also saw a thing after watching videos that apparently like on the set of the 5th one, Johnny Depp just like had an earpiece in and they were just like feeding in the lines because he was so overplaying this character. And I'm like, okay, so nobody even wants to be doing this anymore, but we just keep making them because they make money. Where the first 2 felt so good, and that's it.
Interesting, because I'm not going to talk about this controversy at all.
Yeah.
But the Johnny Depp Amber Heard stuff, reportedly he was really upset that he lost Jack.
Yeah.
So if that's true, that's weird because it's kind of like his baby. It was honestly like the role that brought him to mainstream. For a while, he was this weird niche Tim Burton actor who I think is great. But
apparently on the video I was watching, it said that Eisner was on set for the first Pirates of the Caribbean because this was a huge investment that they made.
They thought it was going to be a disaster.
And he was Eisner was apparently like, Johnny Depp is ruining this movie. You need to get him to act normally. That's so funny. But it ended up, he was such a huge hit. Like everyone loved it.
One of the best Johnny Depp stories is when he came in for the screen test for Jack.
Okay.
Is he walked in with like crazy amounts of tattoos and piercings and like just off the wall insanity.
Wow.
And then he like the director and everybody was like, you need to tone it down. Like, and Jack was like, well, or Johnny was like, well, I'm blah, blah. And they compromised. And Johnny Depp tells the story. He goes, I walked in looking like a freaking idiot. He's like, because I wanted to convince Disney to let me be weird. So I went like full insanity because I knew they'd say no, but I would have like leverage to compromise on how I wanted Jack to be. And I'm like, it's genius.
Awesome.
It's genius. Go in because you're this like wild card off-ball actor who does like weird Tim Burton gothic movies. Go in there, make a stink, and then actually get the character you want. Brilliant. But the metaphor I was going to make is in those first 3 movies, if you like put them side by side with the Avengers movies, with the big team ups.
Okay.
The third one, Jack serves as like the Hulk, where Jack is like so much fun when you use him like correctly and like sparingly and like the side character, because Jack by himself, like Jack's character is just like methodical crazy. He does crazy weird things, but it's always like intelligent and he's a step ahead. What Stranger Tides loses is it just makes Jack a clumsy idiot who kind of is lucky. Whereas in the original 3, he's like used sparingly, but there's always that hint in your mind of like, but Jack's really smart.
He really is a genius.
He's a genius. Exactly. Exactly. And he's fun and he does a lot of stupid things, but at the end you realize he's right. Like in is this Stranger Tides or is this World's End or Dead Man's Chest, where he just starts running back and forth and you're like, oh, Jack has lost it. But no, he's rocking the boat so it'll flip upside down. He's a genius, but he looks like a drunk idiot because he's just running around.
So fun.
Yeah, and then Barbossa's like, I flipped the boat when Jack starts running. But Jack, that's just how Jack does. It's like the persona of Jack Sparrow versus like actual Jack.
Right.
And he's used sparingly like the Hulk, where Hulk is great and Hulk adds so much fun and levity and action. Like Banner and Hulk is a great character, but an entire movie about him gets stale.
Yeah, it doesn't
when
work.
Jack became the protagonist, the movies kind of fell off.
See that.
Which is why Dead Man Tell No Tales brings back the Turners and the Swans. It brings back those characters because at the end of the day, that's who it was about.
I will say that, like, I would almost say that the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, the first 3 are like ensemble casts.
Totally.
You know? And the first one, or no, the first one after that, 4 on Stranger Tides, got rid of that, and then they realized it doesn't work like that because Jack he's just not strong enough of a character to stand on his own, and for people to follow. So the 5th one, they're like, let's bring back an ensemble. That's what we need.
Does 5, Spencer? Because you watched 5 recently. Yeah. Does it feel like an ending? Because I remember they bring them back, but does it feel like the book is shut?
About as much as World's End does. So like, if it ended, then sure. Like, yeah. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't.
Yeah, it's like, without giving, because you haven't seen it, Jake, right?
I saw it, but only probably literally opening day.
So he sails off into the sunset again. So
they all kind of end the same way, besides 2 where Jack dies,
but I feel
which is a brilliant second act ending.
Honestly, it's so good. But like, I feel like with his character, you can't really have any other sort of ending for him where he's just like, I'm gonna settle down. You know, it's like
wouldn't work. Feels silly.
Well, that's the thing, is you could make a good Jack Sparrow centric Pirates movie if you didn't lose sight of the fact that it's all methodical, it's all a game. Like Jack is like an expert liar, con man. Like he's not just a buffoon. Because in Stranger Tides, he's kind of just a buffoon.
Agreed.
Yeah. But I think if the Jack that they wanted to play with that movie is he needed to be a side character, because they could still work if Jack's kind of skating by the skin of his teeth, but he's like a fun side. Jack is like, in the first 2, they like cut to Jack when they need like a moment of levity or like the plot to drive forward, because all like the deep, dramatic, like meaningful cuts of the movie are about Will and his dad, about Will and Elizabeth, about Elizabeth, like, or Elizabeth and her dad.
Norrington. Dude, Norrington
is a great character.
That he has a great ending. He comes full circle. That one, that's real.
He's in the beginning, he's a word. He's a bad word. In the middle, he like becomes like a drunk pirate, then goes back to being a bad word, and at the end comes full circle again. Is like, no, I'm gonna help Elizabeth because I love her.
Yeah,
and it's
great.
yeah, he's a great character. I hated him in the beginning. By the end of it, I was like, I respect Norrington.
And what a commitment! I mean, all of them. What a commitment to a role.
Oh, the acting is off the charts.
I know.
They act their pants off in these movies.
Yeah.
I can't believe this just happened. We just rambled about Pirates for 20 minutes.
Yeah, Spencer, what's your pick of the week?
Oh Lord, you already took Onward last week. You chump.
Yeah, sorry.
What have I watched on Disney Plus recently that I would name my pick of the week? I said Haunted Mansion last week.
Yeah, could be. I mean, it doesn't need to be Disney Plus if you don't want it to be.
Right. Lain, do you have one?
There you go.
Let me give you some more time to think. Yeah.
Well, I will say that I finished the 16th season of Hell's Kitchen this week. So
Wow.
I haven't watched anything Disney, unfortunately. I honestly don't have that much free time, unfortunately, at the moment. So it's like whenever I have some free time, I need to watch something short, and everything on my Disney watch list is a movie. So that's just kind of been the way that it's shaken out. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going through my recently watched on Disney Plus. So give me 2 seconds, and I will tell you what my picks are. If we're not doing Disney, I've binged like the last 4 seasons of NBC's Superstore. It's a workplace comedy. I think it's pretty funny.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely like trying to be
that.
the next Office. Like every workplace comedy is trying to replicate The Office, but they don't go for the gimmick of like camera, of like documentary. Like it's just a single camera show. They don't look at the camera and stuff. And it's funny. It's definitely dumb at times, but it's fun. I enjoy it. I haven't recommended Waking Sleeping Beauty yet. That's an amazing documentary about the Disney Renaissance and how Michael Eisner, Jeffrey Katzenberg, and all of these people and Frank Wells came in and like revolutionized the company. But it's also about like how in the process of making these great movies, like they were at each other's throats. It's basically about how the Renaissance like created the best content, but it was also like high stakes, high intensity Disney.
It's on Disney.
And then Roy Disney, yes, amazing documentary. Like probably one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. Like fantastic. I watched it for class and I rewatched it the other day. It made me cry too. I've been crying a lot in movies recently. I don't know why. But,
wait, tell me what it's called again.
Waking Sleeping Beauty. It's about, which the name is a reference to waking that old sleeping, amazing thing that was Disney animation. Amazing documentary. Like everyone should watch it if you want to understand like how even just like Hollywood works. And then the ending is super sad, and you learn about the making of Mermaid and Aladdin and all these movies. It's really, really good. So definitely watch Waking Sleeping Beauty.
Nice.
It was already on my watch list. I just probably added it without even knowing what it was.
Watch it tonight, dude. Like I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
It's an amazing documentary.
Cool.
Wow. Jake, did you want to talk about the Prop House show real quick?
I guess it's worth mentioning. But yeah, I mean, I can't believe you guys didn't see this because people were tweeting all about it on my timeline. But I think yesterday they just announced a new Disney Plus show. Basically, the most interesting part about it is it's all coming out at once. So they're ditching the like weekly thing. I mean, I think that's a direct response to COVID because people are sitting around and like wanting to watch and binge a show as opposed to like waiting around, especially since it's not like a narrative show. It's like a behind the scenes look type thing.
Right.
That was just like a show about, it's called, what is it called? Prop Culture. And it's got a cool poster and it's just like about Disney props. Now to me, that sounds kind of funky. Like how much of a show can
when did it go up?
It goes up May 1st.
Oh, okay. I was about to watch
next
it.
month. Yeah. But yeah, like on the poster there, they already highlight, Pirates of the Caribbean, Mary Poppins, Ron, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So like, it sounds cool. I'll definitely click on it. If anything, I'll click on like just the Pirates of the Caribbean episode or just the Who Framed Roger Rabbit or whatever it is. But it sounds cool. I mean, I'm here because obviously we're all big Disney fans. Like I'm here for any like behind the scenes type show or documentary or whatever it is. So
totally.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here to watch it. I was expecting a lot of stuff like this to be on Disney Plus, and as of right now, we've gotten the Imagineering story, like the One Day at Disney or Day at Disney thing, and this prop culture show. But everything I've seen has been like really pleasant and fun to watch.
I mean, the thing
This
is,
should
they're
just be
sitting on a
another
gold
one.
mine,
I
like
know, right?
all Disney fans would love to see stuff like that. Another recommendation of mine. If you just want a little pick me up and a little bit of like faith in the world again, just like some cuteness, Daisy really recorded herself on the Disney Twitter reading a book called BB-8 on the Run. It's a little children's book.
Yeah,
And she just reads it. It's super cute. And it just makes you feel like there's humanity still alive. You're like, oh. So I watch that if you're feeling down. That'll pick up some spirits.
Right.
All right. Well, with that, I think that we'll end things off for now because we are out of time and well out of topics because there was not much else this week. I'm actually super impressed that we talked about Pirates of the Caribbean for that long. But thank you for listening to this episode of the Disney Deconstructed podcast. And if you'd like to further support our show and what we do, visit us at anchor.fm/Disney Deconstructed. There you can see every listening platform we're currently available on. Visit our Instagram and YouTube page, which is new, by the way, and send us messages related to the show and even sign up to make monthly donations to further support us and keep these episodes rolling out in a timely fashion. Make sure to check out the rest of the Deconstructed Podcast Network and give us a follow on Twitter at Lain Calder, at JakeMoody98, and at SpencerBennett7. You can also spread the word by telling a friend about our show and help us grow our small community of Disney fanatics. Again, thank you for listening, and we'll see you with more Disney news next week. Writing and producing for this episode of the Disney Deconstructed podcast was done by my two co-hosts, Jake Moody and Spencer Bennett, and myself, Lain Calder. Editing was done by Lain Calder. The music for our program was composed by Brandon LaBelle. The font for our logo was designed by Edward Pincaba. Our beautiful faces were drawn by Sarah Bermudez. Thanks for joining us, and go have yourself a zippity-doo-dah day. Stay safe out there, folks.